Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new video. My name is Liv, and in this one we're going to talk about Disco Elysium. So I'm going to quote something here. Advanced Dungeons and Dragons meets 70s cap show in an original fantastic realist setting with swords, guns and motor cars. Realized as an isometric CRPG, a modern advancement on the legendary Planescape Torment and Baldur's Gate. Massive, reactive story, exploring a vast, poverty-stricken ghetto. Deep strategic combat, end of quote. This is from the official early design document of Disco Elysium. Well, I don't know about that last part about the combat, but the rest of it is right on target. So let's get into it, shall we? Disco Elysium surprised me, and everyone knows by now it received raving reviews. It's a CRPG game the likes of which haven't been made in several years. The RPG it's most similar to is, in my opinion, Planescape Torment. It evokes that pen and paper RPG feeling specific to Dungeons and Dragons based RPGs, made with the so-called Infinity Engine, for example by BioWare, at the turn of the millennia, so a good 20 years ago. Disco Elysium has neither dungeons nor dragons, as the setting is one more mundane and realistic, very much inspired by the banality of real life. Set in a 1950s alternate universe after the collapse of a communist revolution. After that failed revolution, the fictional city of Revachol was left in poverty and under the control of a capitalist alliance called the Coalition. We play an unnamed detective which cannot remember who he is exactly after a night of heavy drinking, and that has to solve a case in a set time period. Together with his partner, Kim Kitsuragi, and some help from other characters in the game, we set to discover the truth behind a murder in an ill-reputed area of the city Revachol West, a city with a rich history and dark past that is still struggling 50 years after the failure of a communist revolution to regain its previous shine. Disco Elysium's setting was formerly the site of a communist revolution that established the Commune of Revachol. That one didn't last long. The coalition of nations brutally put the communists down, divided the city among themselves, and enforced a free market capitalist system. The results are depressingly apparent in Revachol's dilapidated district of Martinez, where the action takes place. Revachol itself is an odd combination of Germany, more specifically Berlin, a post-Soviet state, Manhattan, and Paris. This entire state of affairs is overseen by the Moralist International, or Moral Intern, a union of center-left and center-right parties that professes to represent the cause of humanism, but whose primary concern is transparently the preservation of capitalist interests. A coalition official happily tells us that the coalition is only looking out for quote-unquote the price stabilité, arguing that inflation in Revachol must be prevented, comparing inflation to a heart disease that could block the normal circulation of the economy. The people of Revachol don't matter. Their suffering and oppression is only significant as a necessary symptom of the system functioning as intended. Zaum, the developers of the game, are an Estonian company, and they set upon this idea based on previous writings of the team members over the past 10 years. Robert Kurvitz, its co-founder, took 5 years to write and publish a book in 2013, which only sold 1,000 copies. Zaum means for the mind in Russian, a fitting name based on the team's ambitions and the type of game Elysium truly is. It tries to understand and give the player systems to roleplay different characters based on their personalities and psychological traits as well. The CRPG genre was pretty much dead 10 years ago, as it is a notoriously difficult type of game to design. AAA studios have moved to action RPGs, which are easier to develop and publish in a reasonable amount of time, with streamlined systems and less branches in the storyline and character development. This trend did not happen due to a lack of interest from gamers, as proven by superb games like The Divinity Original Sin or Pillars of Eternity series, which were, however, made possible by crowdfunding platforms such as Kickstarter. So they were funded by gamers themselves, as the AAA gaming industry was moving towards where the Hollywood movie industry finds itself today. Less artists and more accountants there, which deem what projects are worth funding on rigorous investment decisions based only on profit and loss statements. The rejected projects, on the other hand, never see the light of day. The rise of indie game studios such as Zaum is not incidental, as gamers are getting tired of paying $60 for games peddling pay-to-win loot boxes, overpriced DLCs, shallow stories, and infinitesimal improvements on a yearly new release schedule. But this is a discussion for another video, perhaps. Getting back to Elysium, its release in 2019 gave the public exactly what it craved for: a new original setting, a compelling story, and deep CRPG systems deeply rooted in the pen and paper RPG design. Zaum has also proven that they can develop and deliver, meaning they didn't overreach and preferred to focus on a tiny area of the city of Revachol called Martinez. This will mean the game can be rather short, but it also means less bugs. And even if the game area is not that big, it's filled to the brim with details, interesting characters, and things to do. The game ending, but also the success Elysium had in the meanwhile, they both pretty much guarantee a sequel, which I'm sure will be more of the 100-hour RPG Baldur's Gate 2, for example, was. The character skills are all related to the human psyche, from conceptualization, the ability to understand and appreciate art, to pain threshold, the ability to resist pain. They are grouped into 4 categories: Intellect, which contains, from logic and rhetoric to encyclopedia, which throws more or less useful trivia about the game world; psychological traits, like empathy, but also authority, which allows the character to intimidate others; physical abilities, like endurance, but also half-light, which again allows to intimidate others, this time physically; and motorics, which is similar to dexterity, but also technical abilities, the ability to shoot a gun, the ability to sneak around, steal, and so on and so forth. The game also introduces thoughts. Based on the skills the character has, he will get various thoughts that he can internalize, provided we have enough empty slots in the tree, and once enough time passes and the thought is internalized, we can then use it as a type of skill bonus to, for example, raise the cap for putting points into certain skills, but also passive bonuses, like getting money automatically when using certain dialogue choices. The thought or passive skill system gives us more tools for role-playing as it gets deeper into what kind of cop we chose to be, but also what kind of person we choose to be. The game gives us the choice to either go sober or fall back into the bottle, be a sane and reasonable detective, or just paranoid, hallucinating, batshit crazy. The setting, but also the systems, also bring other philosophical, political, and social themes into the light, and using the thought system and through our dialogue choices and actions, we can choose to either become a full-steam communist or maybe an ultra-liberal, racist, and misogynistic asshole. The player has enough tools for, I would say, up to 3 completely different full playthroughs of the game. When it comes to combat, the game has none in the sense of action RPGs or tactical fights, stuff like that. This is replaced by skill checks in the dialogue tree, where we can roll the dice for a percentage chance at success, depending on how many points plus skill bonuses we have for the respective skill. The character can lose health points, but also morale. And if any of these 2 health bars in the game reach 0, the game is over. At 0 morale, the character pretty much quits the police force and decides to become a drunk bum living under a bridge, something like that. Disco Elysium provides any pen and paper RPG fan with a multitude of tools to customize the main character to roleplay anyone they wish. The game world is original and captivating. The writing is good enough and the character we encounter in it are truly memorable. The visual style is phenomenal. It's very good, a combination of film noir with graphic novel pastels. I cannot recommend this game enough to anyone interested in the RPG genre. Infinity Engine RPG fans and younger players who want to play a game similar to Planescape Torment, for example. There is a lot to talk about this game and its game world, but I will keep this for a future spoiler talk video. If I go into too much detail, then I will spoil the game for you right now. Guys, thank you for watching this short introduction to Disco Elysium. I'm just beginning to make and post videos following a more regular schedule, so if you want to keep your eye on the evolution of the Levorius channel, you can be an early bird and subscribe sooner rather than later. See you soon in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.